guys we know, actually, we were introduced to them recently, a band called Stereo Kit.
Okay.
They're doing exactly that. And they're doing a great job writing, recording their own stuff, mixing it. Just very impressive. Very impressive. Now, these guys, going back about 3 years ago, they were signed with Warner in a development deal and working out of here. Phase one.
Okay.
Yeah. So we interviewed them probably about 3 weeks back and told them we were coming here. It's like, oh, awesome, man. And, you know, it was bringing up old memories for them. And Kenta was wanting your opinion on using delays as reverbs. If that's something you do, and, well, I'll ask that first and then the second part.
Yeah, well, a delay and reverb are very closely related. But, and I would say, yeah, I use delays in place of reverb sometimes to create space. Reverbs can be a little bit cavernous sometimes, and washy, and then tend to set the sound like far away. So sometimes delays are far more effective if you're looking for space, but without it being, you know, in the Grand Canyon or in Massey Hall. Yeah. Delays are a great way to create space because you're also then getting a sense of rhythm as well.
Absolutely.
Whether you're using an eighth note or a quarter note or a 16th note, whatever the repeat is, you're actually. I tend to actually go there a lot of times before I use reverbs these days, like especially on vocals and like maybe guitar tracks or in dance music, like pop music and stuff. Like delays are really effective, and even doing a ping pong, like a left and right delay thing, you get a beautiful sense of motion and rhythm. And it's sometimes a little more of an exciting sense of space than reverb can give you. It just depends.
Yeah. And when you're doing that, using delays, you're using EchoBoy?
I love EchoBoy, yeah. That's my favorite. And when I don't have that, like here today, I don't have the Sound Toys plugins here, but I'll use the H delay, the Waves H delay. You can get kind of a nice vintage sound off of it. But those are my two favorite. Massey has a nice delay, like a tape delay simulator. But EchoBoy is just amazing. We were talking about that earlier. And there's just so many different things you can do. You can spend all day covering all the possibilities in there, you know? Yeah,
it really is insane.
But I'm a huge fan. I like to say, I prefer it a lot of times. I'll go to that first now before I go to a reverb.
Yeah. Yeah.
And unless it's a ballad or something, if it's a slower tempo and it's you need to go for that real grandiose thing, then reverbs are really cool. Or for some special effect thing. But the other thing too, I tell people, like, you know, if you can, don't think you like because you're mixing, you just throw reverb on stuff because, well, that's what people do in a mix. They just put reverb on stuff and then put reverb on everything, and then you're swimming.
Yeah, literally.
The mix is just off somewhere, and you know, and it just starts to pull apart, and it's just everything sounds like it's 100 feet away.
Right, right.
So sometimes pick something and put reverb on it and make it special. Maybe put it back behind everybody else, or you know.
And when you do that, are you EQing your reverb?
Sometimes, sure, absolutely. And most EQs will actually have, or sorry, most reverbs will have little EQs and filters in there. You can high frequency decay, low, mid frequency decay, all that stuff. And so you can really tailor it. And early reflections and pre-delays that all come within the parameters of a reverb.
Right, right. So you'd be doing that pretty much all the time. You wouldn't just,
yeah, I mean, I don't find that most reverbs are just good like off a preset. Generally, you have to go in and tailor it.
Right.
Depending on depending on the tempo of the song, and you want to tailor the decay time and the pre-delays and the your high frequency, low frequency stuff. You're going to want to tweak it a bit. Yeah. Yeah. You know, I've never just said large hall, boom, boom, enter. Oh, that's it. That's perfect. I just I don't find that I can do it straight out of the box.
Yeah.
Like that.
And that'll help get rid of that washiness, right? Where it's just like...
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I don't like the other thing too, I've seen people do, like when they're working in Pro Tools or in a digital audio workstation, is like, say if they want a reverb on a vocal, like a lot of times people like insert it right on the vocal track. and then play with the wet and dry mix.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd say I'm still more old school, and I approach the Pro Tools like a console. I would rather set up, bring the reverb up on a stereo auxiliary fader, and still use like an aux send,
mm-hmm.
and send some of that signal to a reverb, and bring it back parallel, as opposed to inserting it straight across the channel.
Right.
Because you never did that on an analog console. You might have a lead vocal here, and your reverb return is here, and you would send that vocal through an aux send
mm-hmm.
into your reverb.
Yeah.
So you always have that dry signal panned wherever you want it, and then you can play with your level of the reverb return somewhere else on the console.
Sure.
So I still do that in Pro Tools as well. I don't like to just insert it.
Right. Yeah.
You know, across the strip.
You want to customize it. And,
yeah.
Yeah, make it fit.
Yeah.
Right.
And play with the balance with the actual fader as opposed to the dry, wet mix knob right in the plug-in, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just, there's no right or wrong about it, but I just noticed I think a lot of people that have never worked on an analog console just automatically will take a delay or a reverb and just insert it across a channel.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't understand the idea of you had to patch it in with a patch bay and
right.
this aux send to the input of the reverb, the output of the reverb back on a couple open line inputs over here, right? And so I still think that way when I'm in the box.